You think you know Labyrinth? Well, here's some things you may not have known about the Jim Henson-directed fantasy film.
You have 13 hours in which to solve the labyrinth before your baby brother becomes one of us forever.
Labyrinth went through several iterations and drafts penned by many hands before it became the film we all know and love. Despite being credited to Terry Jones of Monty Python fame, the screenplay saw at least 25 treatments between 1983 and 1985, during which time Fraggle Rock writer Laura Phillips, screenwriter, actress, and comedian Ellen May, and even George Lucas redrafted the script.
You monster! It bit me!
What did you expect fairies to do?
I thought they did nice things, like granting wishes.
Huh? Shows what you know, don't it?
Jareth was originally supposed to be a puppet, but somewhere in the 25 script edits, Jim Henson decided that he wanted Jareth to be a character with a large personality. Who better to portray such a character than the equally larger-than-life person like a rock star? Henson initially considered the talents of Mick Jagger, Sting, Michael Jackson, and Prince. However, it was decided that David Bowie was the perfect fit for the role. Henson explained the decision by saying, quote, "I wanted to put two characters of flesh and bone in the middle of these artificial creatures, and David Bowie embodies a certain maturity with his sexuality, his disturbing aspects, all sorts of things that characterize the adult world." Speaking of disturbing, Jareth's most prominent feature was an intentional design choice made by conceptual designer Brian Froud. Of this rather strange design choice, Froud said, quote, "He's supposed to be a young girl's dream of a pop star. We got in a lot of trouble, you know, about maybe how tight his pants were, but that was deliberate. It's very eclectic."
It's not fair!
You say that so often. I wonder what your basis for comparison is.
Originally, the film wasn't supposed to have songs, but Bowie's addition to the cast changed the film's direction. Despite being against it, Jones rewrote the script to allow for musical numbers. Similarly, Jareth's character was completely changed. Originally, he was overtly evil and merely a small, weak goblin in disguise. At this version of the script, Bowie almost withdrew his involvement in the film. Thankfully, it was May's edit of the script that humanized Bowie's character to a degree that was much more palatable. Several now famous actresses auditioned for the role of Sarah. Among them were Helena Bonham Carter, Marissa Tomei, Sarah Jessica Parker, Ali Sheedy, Mia Sara, Laura Dern, and Jane Krakowski. But in the end, Jennifer Connelly won over Jim Henson and was cast within a week of her audition. According to Henson, Connelly, quote, "could act that kind of dawn-light time between childhood and womanhood."
Everything I've done for you. I move the stars for no one.
Apparently, upon learning the film's plot and similarities to his book, Outside Over There, Maurice Sendak went to his lawyers who advised Henson to cease and desist. However, as we all know, that didn't happen. In the credits, Henson acknowledged the similarities of the works with the text, quote, "Jim Henson acknowledges his debt to the works of Maurice Sendak." Despite claiming to be over it, Sendak continued to complain about it for several years thereafter. Even before all the extreme script edits and rewrites by scores of people, Henson and Froud approached children's author Dennis Lee to write a novella upon which the screenplay could be based. When Jones received the novella, he described it as being unfinished and too poetic. In the end, Lee's work was entirely discarded, and the story was based on Froud's concept art instead. The baby sounds featured in the song Magic Dance were actually just David Bowie imitating a baby. Apparently, the baby in the music studio refused to string two gurgle sounds together, figuring it'd be easier. Bowie did it himself.
And baby said, dance, magic dance, dance, magic.
Apparently, the scene in which Sarah falls down the shaft and meets the helping hands was one of the most difficult to film. The shaft itself was 40 feet tall, and Connelly had to be strapped into a harness to simulate falling. Over 100 performers in latex gloves act as helping hands and had to act blind, relying on practice choreographed moves to make the faces that speak to Sarah. And here's a bonus one. Speaking of blind acting, the crystal ball juggling that Jareth does throughout the film is not done by Bowie at all. Instead, professional juggler Michael Motion had to crouch behind Bowie and act without watching his hands. Apparently, Motion practiced for weeks with a body double for Bowie so he could get the movement down properly without watching his actions. However, on set there were still a number of takes. Bowie had been cited as being very patient with the process, even saying himself, quote, "I had fun, it was very amusing. I don't think Michael Motion, the juggler, had much fun. It was agonizing for him."
Well, why didn't you say so?
That's it for this episode of You Think You Know Movies. Make sure to subscribe, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and get the latest movie and TV news on ScreenCrush.com.